A little earlier in the week, we met with members of the band With Hopes of Falling out of Cambria County. So we're going to find out all about that group this evening on the program. We'll find out about their career, their live show, their creative process, and we'll hear songs off of their debut album called The Majestic Front through the course of tonight's show. And we have guests in the studio on this week's edition of the Homegrown Rocker, the band With Hopes of Falling, and we're about to meet these guys. First question, introduce yourselves. Who is in the band, and what do you do in the band, and I guess who's missing as well?
Cool, yes. I'm Ricky Hazlett. I'm the lead singer, and I play guitar in the band.
My name's Trevor Roberts. I'm the drummer.
I'm Travis Mushkett, and I do backup vocals and rhythm guitar.
And our bass player, Brian, is not able to be here tonight, but he's Brian Mushkett, and he plays on bass, and he does some backup vocals as well.
All right. And how did the group get started? Tell us the story.
So it actually is a long time in the making. We had this idea back in 2006. Trevor, myself, and another friend of ours came up with the idea of just starting to play together, try to form a band. Trevor,
they couldn't find a drummer, so they forced me to learn how to play drums.
That's basically how it went. So we're like, Trevor, could you learn how to play drums? Get together in his attic and jammed out a couple songs here and there. But then as the years went on, we kind of went to an acoustic act, me and the other guy, and even Trevor here. We picked up our acoustic guitars, wrote a couple songs, and then Trevor moved away to Colorado, and it kind of stopped the whole entire band and progress.
Yeah, my fault.
What year? what year did you?
I moved away in 2013, so I would say it probably fizzled like 2011, and then I moved back 2021 and started playing drums again. And now we're here.
Yeah, so Trevor moved back from Colorado, and he asked me, hey, let's get together and start jamming again. And I said, well, if we're going to start jamming again, let's finish the project. We had songs written. We kind of had a concept written for the album. It was a long time in the making. So 2006 to 2011, had a couple songs here and there on acoustic. And then throughout the years, I continued to keep writing, finished the concept, and then when he moved back, I said, well, if we're gonna do it, let's do it right. And I didn't want to go to practice and like just play one thing and show up the next week and not know what we were doing. So we had a structure laid out. We knew what songs that we were gonna learn and what we were gonna do, and we needed another guitarist and another bass and a bass player. Our third didn't want to continue on with us, so that's whenever we asked Travis and Brian to join the band, somewhere around 2021.
Sounds right, yeah.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Great additions, too. Me and Travis work real well together on the guitar. Brian's coming together really well on the bass. And we decided that we were going to do the album. We locked ourselves in the basement for 2 years until we learned, and we felt that we were decent enough to play out a live show. We released the album in January of this year, and then we were asked to play a show in Johnstown back in April. And I broke my hand a week or two before the show. So it was fun to go out and play the show, all gimped up, and get these guys out for their first show, and we had a really good time.
It was awesome.
Interesting story, to be sure. How would you describe the music of With Hopes of Falling?
So it stems from like the early 2000s emo scene, punk scene that graduated into post-hardcore, metalcore is what they're at. There's a lot of different kind of experimental bands out there right now, so we kind of like gravitate towards the genre of post-hardcore / metalcore. We throw a little bit of punk songs in there as well. We have a little bit of everything across that genre.
Yep, definitely on the harder side.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're about to hear one of the songs, actually a blending of a couple of tracks that begins your album called The Majestic Front. We'll talk about the album in detail in a few moments. But what would you like to say about intro and a glimpse into?
Well, I guess they'll hear it. We wanted to create an opener that was going to like really hit you in the face and want to make you move and and question like, whoa, what are these guys? What are these guys all about? So that's the premise of this, basically. So, and it's also starts the concept of it. It's the song "A Glimpse Into" is about a guy that kind of predicts or looks into a crystal ball and sees what's going on in the world and all the issues that are arising and like what can be done to stop everything. So.
Interesting. Let's give it a listen. Again, intro and a glimpse into music from With Hopes of Falling, and you are hearing them on the Homegrown Rocker.
where local and regional musicians come to play. The Homegrown Rocker.
Welcome back to the Homegrown Rocker. I'm the Professor Jim Price. Our guests in the studio, 3 members of With Hopes of Falling. And you guys are out of the Cambria County area, right?
Yeah, they're all from Portage. I'm the only Lily guy.
All right. So, yeah, right. Central Cambria County. Very cool. All right. Well, you guys do have a debut CD out. It's called The Majestic Front. What will people hear on this album?
They'll hear a little bit of everything. We started off pretty heavy. We break it right from heavy to probably our poppiest song.
Yeah, I'd say it's like a pop punk song.
Yeah.
It really hits home about this area as well. We'll probably hear that later in the show. And then it takes you on like a little kind of journey through it, in and out of some heavy stuff, some light stuff, where there's a culmination in the very middle of the album that we call APOC, that is supposedly the main event that happens in the concept. And then after APOC, we tend to slow it down for a few songs. And we do have a love song, I guess, on the album that we released back on Valentine's Day of this year as well. And then we kind of bring it back a little heavier and into the very ending, which is it's kind of a ballad-esque song. I like the 80s build up into some kind of really amazing outro kind of ending. So we did that with Serenity at the end. So.
All right. So it sounds like a very, kind of a process album that takes you on a journey, definitely. All right. Well, where did you guys record the album?
So it's funny. We did everything on our own on an audio interface that we picked up about 2.5-3 years ago. We started recording some demos. We picked up Studio One Professional. We learned, got into some tutorial videos, learned how to mix, master, kind of do everything ourselves. We don't have the funds to go out and be able to record or mix and master. So we thought we have a little bit of technical skills. So let's try to do it on our own. I had about 2,000 hours into it, from recording, having the guys come up. We would demo out like some drum takes, and then Trevor would take over and really make them his own. Then we recorded all the drums out and then re-recorded everything and kind of just pieced it together. And then we were going to release it in a kind of like an unmastered mixed state. And then I kind of just took a step back and said, no, if we're doing this on our own. I wanted to really learn about it. So I took about 3 or 4 months, took a Udemy course on mixing and mastering, just to kind of pull it all together, and yeah, that's what we came up with.
Yep. So it sounds like a very coordinated process of getting this thing together. And you guys mentioning earlier that 2 years of getting everything ready for it. So that kind of brings up my question, and that is, I presume you had a pretty good idea of what you wanted to capture in the recording. Do you think the results met or exceeded your expectations?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say they were there. It was a big process because we would record something, listen to it for a couple weeks, and then nitpick it, and then like, oh, that needs changed. Oh, we need to change that. But then I don't know that will ever stop. But at what point do you just say, this is really good, let's just put it out? I think it's just us like getting picky. So we put it out, and it sounds great to us.
Yeah, I think when we put it together and we had like 2 or 3 demos, and it sounded really good. Like it sounded better than what I had expected, like a basement kind of recording your first time. It wasn't really my first time, but really it was. You sit down and you're like, okay, we're serious about it. Let's learn it. Let's do it and get through it. And then once we laid down the unmixed version, we were all really surprised about it. But then whenever I came back and I mixed and mastered it like 3 or 4 months later, I couldn't even listen to the original versions again.
Yeah, it was a complete difference.
It was like night and day. And then hearing that and knowing that sounded probably 10, 15 times more than what our expectation was, we knew that our album was kind of ready, packaged it up in like we're just like, yeah, let's just put it out on YouTube. Let's, make a couple copies of it, see if anybody wants it. For nostalgia purposes, like having a CD, having a booklet to flip through, being able to have your lyrics in there and have your thanks and all that was something that we always wanted. So it was a really cool process just going through it from start to finish. And yeah, I think that it has exceeded my expectations as well.
Yeah, but then there's usually a time, when after you're doing tweaking and stuff, and you realize that's about where we need to get. It's
yeah. 85% is what we were shooting for. So as long as, because like Trevor said, we would nitpick it, and then we're like, okay, what can we do here, and it was just like, hey, we got to put something out, we got to stop. But I think that's the why like in the studio, like in your basement, you have, you're not just going into the recording studio for 8 hours. You're able to go in there and actually tweak it. So that I think is also why it turned out so well, because we nitpicked it and we were able to go back in and hear our mistakes and, oh, this sounds cool. I think that there was a couple of times I changed a few songs around like a year and a half afterwards, added a little guitar lick here and there and just, to blend them all together. And I think that that's why we got the product that we did. So.
Yeah, but you hear about professional bands, too. They'll put out an album, maybe they have a few hits or big songs from that album. Then you read a comment like 10, 15 years later, and then you're listening back to it, and they either can't stand to listen to it or, man, if I could have only done something else with it. But, meanwhile, the album was successful and, put them on the map. So it's kind of an interesting thing with that. All right, how may listeners obtain the CD or access your music online?
So we have a YouTube. You can just, with hopes of following on YouTube, we should pop up. We're on Spotify. We have a Facebook page. Locally, we're actually in a shop in Evansburg called Artistry from Scratch, so you can just stop in there and pick it up at any point. And during whenever we're at Mass in the Grass, we'll have the albums on us. So feel free to stop by at our tent and come say hello and come pick up an album.
Yep, and we'll talk about that shortly. That is one of your upcoming shows, too, Mass in the Grass. All right, we're going to go with another song off the CD at this point. And what would you like to say about Our Lives Untold?
Our Lives Untold it's interesting. It's kind of soft, and then it kind of gets a little hard, and we end it on like a bridge outro. It's one of our songs that we kind of end on like this bridge where we kind of switch it all around, and it's just a song about trying to, like, if you're questioning something and you're asking, just for some kind of help, but basically no one hears you. So you're on your own. You cry out and no one hears you. So that's basically, and it's in the concept of it. There's some things that have happened to the main character of the story where he's questioning like reality, like, why is the world like this? What can we do to change it? But there's no answer from, anything. So that's basically the premise of the song.
All right, let's give this a listen. The song is Our Lives Untold, music from With Hopes of Falling, and again, you're hearing it on the Homegrown Rocker.
Once again alone, wondering how the truth could run so cold. Trying to be bold, for these lies have been foretold. Our breath is getting old, it is dark, finding light that blinds you, falls apart from me.
band tonight, With Hopes of Falling, and their song Our Lives Untold. And that again from the CD, The Majestic Front. Let's resume our chat with those folks on the Homegrown Rocker. And again on the Homegrown Rocker, we are joined by members of With Hopes of Falling on our studio this evening. And let's go to the live show a little bit. What happens when this band gets on the stage?
Well, so April, like I said, we actually had our first show. I've played out a couple of times before, but it was Trevor and Travis's first time really getting out there and seeing. I think we played, how many people did we play
probably like 30, 40 people there, right?
So yeah, we had a decent crowd in Johnstown. We're a little nervous, but we did very well. Some of the crowd, was headbanging and moving a little bit. We're working on some other stuff, I guess, that just comes with, the genre of just trying to be energetic, trying to be a little funny on stage. We're not like a serious kind of band. As much as we are heavy, a lot of my upbringing was in like Blink-182 era with Blink-182 and Green Day, so I kind of like channel that in a way, from my teenage years. So we are a little bit maybe comical. We can if we get a chance to be on stage. So I guess we'll see how that unfolds.
Yeah, kind of something as the personality of the band develops. Yeah, that happens.
Yep.
What is your goal with the audience? What do you want them to experience?
Well, so if they see us live, I want them to, feel all the genres that we're kind of, we're in the post-hardcore genre, but we kind of take them for a ride. Like even with the album, if you listen to it from start to finish, I think there was once I laid down in bed and just closed my eyes for the hour and 10 minutes it took, and just the whole like journey that it will take you on, the story that it'll tell. We have a story posted on our website that you can read ahead of time or read, just in general. It's just a little short story that kind of goes along with it. A lot of the songs, they're not written for the story, but they're a lot of the songs are things that I've been through, but at the same time, we molded them into the story and wrote a story around it. So it's kind of cool. So I hope that the audience kind of feels that as well. And then, at the end, I like how we bring it all together at the ending. I think that, just to see the reaction at the end, I guess.
Yeah, hopefully there's just a lot of energy, transferred between everybody.
Scream and yell, party.
Yeah.
Yeah, jump up and down, maybe. Bring some kind of local energy, romp back to the Altoona scene. It was pretty good. Many years ago. We've fallen out of it, over the years. So I'm hoping that at Mass in the Grass we see a little bit of those people jumping up and down and cheering us on. So.
Speaking of which, what shows do you have coming up? And I guess the big one is Mass in the Grass.
So yeah, Mass in the Grass is pretty much it. Because I broke my hand back in April, we wanted to really see, I wanted to heal, and I wanted to get through Mass in the Grass at least first before we really, booked anything else. We're looking at maybe something in October around Halloween time. That would be out towards either the Evansburg area or Johnstown area, but we're not sure yet. I am all healed up, so we're probably be looking up, after Mass in the Grass hit us up, we'll be willing to come back to Altoona. We'll be willing to go just about anywhere. So. Mm-hmm.
All right, and that's on Friday, August 8th. You guys will be playing late afternoon. Yeah, Mass in the Grass, Singing Valley Fairgrounds. And, of course, we just had Sasha Frost, the organizer of Mass in the Grass, on the show last week. So
awesome.
Very cool. All right, well, let's see. We're going to go with a song off the album here. What would you like me to play at this point?
Let's do All in Sickness, because we referenced it earlier. It's a song that kind of hits close to home for me. It's one of the ones that I wrote first when I was 19. It's loosely about my uncle that lost the battle to cancer, mainly due to just lifestyle, going to bars and things like that, which was big back in the late 90s, early 2000s, which this area now sees other issues with just struggling people and that kind of thing. So this is kind of like the song that has meaning to me, at least close to all of us, because we all grew up with somebody that we knew, we lost somebody from something, growing up. So this is that song.
All right, let's give it a listen. All in Sickness. It is, again, music from With Hopes of Falling, and you are hearing it on the Homegrown Rocker. And once again on the Homegrown Rocker, we have members of the band with hopes of falling. And again, we have
Ricky Hazlett.
Trevor Roberts.
And Travis Mushkett.
All right, and thanks you guys for being here and being on the program this evening. And we've been talking about With Hopes of Falling, the CD, the live show, and at this point, the creative process. How do you guys come up with songs? And given that you guys put out a concept album of sorts for the first album, how did the creative process figure into that?
So, I wrote a lot of it over the years. Like it started back in 2006. I was in a band in Altoona a long time ago called No Dice, and then we started playing together as loosely based as With Hopes of Falling, me, Trevor, and our friend Nick. And All in Sickness was my first song, so really that was, well, it wasn't my first song, but it was right around that time. And then I had I wrote All in Sickness, Our Lives Untold, the Majestic Front was there, and
Serenity.
And I was going through a really hard time in my life, and Serenity was kind of like the bridge between my old life and my new life. I went through a really, really rough divorce, and me and Trevor would play Serenity on the acoustic guitar back in like 2010. So then when he moved away, I think I had the idea, the concept then, kind of forming. It was sort of like real quick. It's about maybe a guy experiencing the world from his point of view, and he sees all the sickness in the world and all the war, all the chaos, and all this stuff. Where he then perceives the end of the war or end of the world with APOC, and then he's searching for everybody. He's searching for his family, his friends. He's going through looking for just his purpose back in life. That then leads you to this point of time where he realizes he's alone, and then kind of wakes up in his house and just kind of realizes, it was all in his head anyways. And it's really about battling depression and anxiety. In the end of it, everybody goes through, mental health and the struggles with that. And just with everything that I've kind of been through, I've always channeled it into music. So that's why a lot of the songs have double meanings. But then the whole concept came together when, so Trevor's out in Colorado, and I'm not really doing anything creative other than writing songs here and there, and then had a family and just continued to write songs here and there. And really, it was when Trevor moved back.
But thankfully he recorded everything he did while I was gone on SoundCloud, so that when I did move back and we did start this, there was already a good base, and then we just built off of that. He would write guitar tracks, then kind of pre-mix them out with a basic drum beat on kind of what he heard in his head, and then I would get it, listen to it, turn the drum track off, and then I would just play around with it until I found the groove to the song, and then I would record that, ship it back to him, and then we would just keep building blocks from there.
Yeah, it was a very online. We use Discord. We have a Snapchat group that we talk in every day. We're all friends from a long, long time ago too, so it all kind of helped. Hey, here, finding 4 friends from sort of the same town where we all kind of have the same kind of liking music, to just get together and piece it all together and hear what it sounded like. And then adding Travis and Brian to the band, at least Travis, I didn't have another guitar player to really, bounce things back and forth. And he's brought a dynamic to the band and has these parts and songs and even in our new songs that we're writing that we've thrown into the album that just bring it all together. And how has the process been for you?
Awesome. Yeah. I've learned a lot. I never really changed up my guitar playing all these years, and since meeting you, it's been a whole new horizon, getting into drop D, playing with everybody, singing. It's been awesome. Yeah,
Travis is a little bit younger than us. Not significantly younger, but it's cool to have friends from different sort of generations get together, play the sort of similar genre of music, but then have a creative process of being online and really being collaborative about it. And it turned out.
Yep. So essentially, the creative process kind of came along and evolved as the band itself did. So yeah, kind of kind of came together, and now it's comes to out in the album. Your album, Majestic Front. It's a pretty interesting story there. What would you call your influences, musical or otherwise?
We'll probably all have to answer this question. My favorite band is a band from the UK called Funeral for a Friend. They were a post-hardcore band from the 2000 era. Them, Finch, Census Fail, kind of like the Warped Tour scene. Some of the harder bands on Warped Tour, not like the super hardcore bands. I'm not like a big death metal fan. I'm more of you can catch me listening to some pop punk, and that was even one of the bands I used to be in was a pop punk band. So Blink 182 and all that whole like Warped Tour genre, and I've kind of always stayed with it.
For me, it's I listen to just about everything. For drumming wise, like my bigger influences of the style of drumming I like to do is like Chris Adler, the old Lamb of God drummer, Mitch Mitchell from Jimi Hendrix. I really like a lot of his stuff. There's just so much. Other than I'm not a real big country person. That's about it.
Yeah, I kind of align with Trevor. I listen to almost everything except for country. But I think influential-wise, like Pennywise, NoFX, Old Green Day, Lagwagon, a lot of punk stuff. Growing up, I was into hair metal, a lot of speed metal, like All That Remains, Lamb of God, Himsa. And then, I listen to everything.
All right, so an interesting stew of influences coming together here. All right, well, we're going to go with another song off the album, and at this point, what would you like to say about Bleed With Me?
So it's the first song that we kind of picked back up as we became a band again here, and it's interesting. My brother kind of wrote. It's the only song that me and my brother wrote in my basement between the years that Trevor was out in Colorado, and I think he would visit every here and again, and I would say, hey, I have this song, and I was trying to learn how to play drums, and I drummed the drum beat to Bleed With Me, and like maybe he would hear it once or twice on his way in, but it was a song that my brother had the main guitar part to, and I kind of finished it with the lyrics and bass lines and other guitars and the drums. It was really a song for me to learn drums to. And then that was really the first song that we landed on. And then when I wrote the lyrics to it, I think we just asked everybody. It was kind of like, how do you want this song to go? And I wrote it like with memories, like you're trying to bring people back together, and you're searching for memories and things like that. So yeah, it was really the first song that we all.
It was the very first song we learned to play together as a band.
Play it over and over again.
You might not think it if you hear it live, though, but
right.
We'll throw that out there because we may or may not play it at Mass in the Grass. But yeah, it's been around since the beginning, and was it our first single? Did we release that as our very first single?
I think so.
Realign.
I think we mixed it up and like we packaged it up and we threw it out because we needed 3 singles for YouTube, and like just learning that whole process was very fun. But so it was the very first one, and it was even the 3 singles that we have on YouTube. They're all like really unmixed. So like forgive us when you do click on our YouTube and you play those 3 singles.
All right, well, let's give it a listen. The song Bleed With Me, music from With Hopes of Falling, and again, you're hearing them on the Homegrown Rocker.
All
And again, thank you for listening to the Homegrown Rocker. Once again, I'm the Professor Jim Price, and we have members of With Hopes of Falling in our studio tonight. And so how has response been to your CD and the music so far? How is your fan base evolving?
I think it's kind of neat. Like, we put it out there. We didn't really know what to expect. We all thought it sounded pretty good. All our peers thought it sounded pretty good, and we sort of crowdfunded our album. We didn't want to, spend a bunch of money on something that wasn't going to go anywhere. So we got about 20, 25 people together to, pre-order the album. And then with that, we designed it and pressed it and, went through the whole process of that. And, we still have a bunch of the physical copies left. But I think, seeing that our Facebook is slowly growing, our subscribers on YouTube are slowly growing, look at some of the other local bands, and I think that we're right there, with at least with hits from the local area. So we'll see. Organic growth, I think, is the way to go. We're not really pushing it too hard. We all have things it's more of a project, and if it continues to grow into something that is bigger and better and that leads to more shows, then I'd say bring it. I think that'd be awesome.
All right, and that kind of leads into my next question, and that is, what are your goals and plans with for With Hopes of Falling? What would you like to achieve with this project?
So we're still writing. We have
There's almost 6 songs in the hopper, I'd say.
6?
At least 6. Like 4 songs, and then 2 more that are getting there, right?
Yeah, we're continuing the writing process. It's we've upgraded some gear, so we're gonna learn how to record drums and better. And continue to learn the process of that. I think we're gonna continue. I don't think we'll go anywhere to do this one. We've already got some demos crunched on it, so it's just continue to collaborate.
Really just have fun, hang out with each other,
play more
play
shows.
music. If people like our music, we love it. If not, we're just going to keep keeping on.
We'll still get together every other Saturday in the basement and play our songs. I think the newer stuff is, at least this next album, I think we envision 2 or 3, maybe an acoustic album, over the next 5, 7, like whatever, however long it's going to take. This next one, I think it's a little heavier than the Majestic Front, but I think it's still, the tone is there. I don't think it's going to be a concept album. Maybe there'll be some songs that tie back to and weave into each other. I like doing that. I like kind of weaving song meanings into one another. So there might be a little of that from album 1 to album 2, but we're just going to continue to get together and enjoy the process.
Yeah, keep growing the band and keep growing the music, I guess.
Right, yeah.
Yep.
All right. What do you enjoy most about being in this group so far? What's been the most rewarding part of being a part of With Hopes of Falling?
Hanging out with the boys, man. Yeah.
Yeah, getting together every other weekend like we do. We're pretty good about every other Saturday. We have it on a calendar. We make sure that, we from 5 to 9 or whatever, we focus on. We've been playing the set for Mass and DeGrasse for the last month, trying to hone in on it, trying to figure out what we're going to say in front of everyone, and
get those sweet guitar choreographies down.
Trying to
practice the banter,
and do a little more stage presence stuff, because that's what sells it or whatever. But I think we're just having fun, getting together, having a musical outlet again. If when you have those days where life gets you, we have this. We have music again in our lives, and I've always escaped to that. Even in really hard times in my life, I would put them into songs, and some of them are on the album, and some of them will be on album 2. So and some you'll never hear. So I think that whole process, again, discovering the music for all of us has been
right. Yeah, just the brotherhood, just hanging out and having fun. That's all what it's all about.
All right. Well, we're going to go with another song from the Majestic Front. Actually, we're going to get into the title track. What would you like to say about it?
It's the premise is of a. I always had a picture of a man running through the woods, and he comes to this pond where he sees himself in the pond, and whether he's young or old, his reflection has changed. So it's kind of has like a time travel tone to it, where he's running back to try to find his reality. And it's really like, it's an older song. I mean, like Trevor and I have probably played it. He used to have a djembe that we would bring at camp, and we would rock the acoustic versions of all our songs down by the Yawk River, and we'd have a really good time with it. So yeah, this song it's an old song. It had that kind of meaning of the concept behind it, though, and it might even have been like the time when, as soon as we wrote this song, it gave me the idea of the concept. So it was really what started it, and kind of it was going to be our ender too. Fun fact for anybody listening, it was going to end the album,
Yeah.
and then I decided to put Serenity as the end, and sort of change the way that the whole story ended. But yeah, it was going to be the ender of the album, and it's kind of was written that way. And then we threw a pretty neat little guitar solo into it that kind of echoes of that 80s like guitar hair metal kind of thing. So yeah.
Let's give it a listen. Title track from the Majestic Front. And again, it's music from With Hopes of Falling. And again, you're hearing it on the Homegrown Rocker.
Unlock the gates of time, see a young man, so
And one more time on this week's Homegrown Rocker, we are speaking with members of With Hopes of Falling. And gentlemen, is there anybody behind the scenes that you want to thank for helping this group along?
I'll let you guys go first.
My girlfriend Rebecca, just for being supportive, just being supportive. Let me take the time to hang out with the guys and get this done.
Yeah, really, anybody that's shared our stuff on social media. My parents are a big supporter of this, even though they don't like the type of music. My fiance Amber, big thanks to her because she has to deal with our loudness.
Yeah, we practice at Trevor's basement.
Yeah,
She listens.
She gets
to
tickets
us.
every other Saturday.
I have small list. I get first and foremost my family, my wife Carly, who's given me the time to focus into this and do this. My kids, Eli, he plays guitar. Ayla and Kieran, all to give me the time to do this. Shout out to Jimmy Skinny from my old band too. If you're listening to this, buddy, you pushed us on the path to getting the audio interface and me into Studio One and learning all about this whole. Hey, you can record music from your basement and make it sound good. So that's really cool.
we can't forget about Jordan Rogers.
Can't forget
Yeah.
Jordan.
He's always been there anytime we needed him.
He's like
Cameraman, audio man,
band manager.
hype man.
We always run the joke with him that he's our manager because he's always there.
Yeah, he's always there. And shout out to Jeremiah too. He's the one that helped us get on this Mass in the Grass festival. He's friends with the organizer, so we would invite him to the basement, and he's like, "You guys would do really well in Altoona at this festival. They're trying to play a little bit more metal acts and all this. Submit and see if you can get onto it." So, yeah, he pushed us to get onto it, and yeah, here we are. So, and then shout out to Nick too. He was our guitar player from 2006 to 2011. We wrote 3 or 4 songs together. It was really us 3 that kind of came together with it all. And Brian, Brian couldn't be here tonight either, so he's came together a long way on the bass, continuing to rock with us every other Saturday, and being able to bring it home with us as well. So.
Alrighty. Do you have anything else to tell listeners about With Hopes of Falling that we haven't talked about so far? Any other things you want to add?
Come meet us, book us. We want to play. We're friendly.
Yeah, we're friendly.
friendly.
Come see us at the
We're cool
tent,
guys.
We're not scared.
We'll be hanging out after we play on Friday.
Yeah.
So we'll just be at our tent. Come say hi, hang out.
Yeah, check out our website too. I know it's old school, but we threw the story. We did it on purpose. A lot of the stuff, are everything that we've kind of formed everything back in 2006. So I like that era. Our stories on our website. The lyrics are on our website. We have a CD out there, physical CD that has all the lyrics in it, with a little short story at the end of that kind of as a preview to it. So. Yeah, we just hope that you enjoy what we've put out, and it's taken us a while, and it's truly a 100% us act. We wrote everything, we mixed it, mastered it, recorded it all ourselves, and did the CD ourselves. So we hope that you enjoy it.
All right, and you mentioned website, so the website address is
www.withhopesoffalling.com. So you can see us there.
okay. And you guys have social media, right?
Yep, you can just look us up on Facebook or Instagram. Same tag, With Hopes of Falling. And we're on YouTube for sure. YouTube channel. Same thing.
All right, and of course, one more show, one more mention of the upcoming show, which is Friday the 8th at the Mass in the Grass.
Yeah, come see it. It's at Sinking Valley Fairgrounds. Starts at, I think the doors. What time is the doors?
Early.
Early noon or something.
Yeah. It's early.
We go on at 4:00, right after the JW project.
Yep. So I think they're an acoustic act, so we'll be the first. And it's cool, to help, kick off the festival. And I know that Sasha's got some heavier bands headlining the festival, which is cool. So it's kind of neat to say, okay, we'll help, kick that kind of thing off. So it's awesome. Good thing to be a part of.
Definitely. All right. Well, we have one more song we're to go with, and it's the one that finishes the album. Talk about Serenity.
So yeah, Serenity. It's the like I said, it's like the ballad song. It starts off slow, it builds up. We bring in the chorus a little bit lighter, a little bit heavier. The next verse, to bring in the chorus a little bit heavier, even more. I think it's a really epic ending.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very good ending.
It's and the last, I threw a guitar solo at the very end. It's actually the last thing I wrote for the entire album. I felt like the song needed something, and there was a whole other version of it where there's a spoken, actually the version that's on the album, there's a spoken part of the story that's in it, and that wasn't in it until the very last week. We were putting everything together, and I'm like, okay, well, I have this, and it was the spoken story on it with the solo, and everyone was like, that's it. That's just
It really fit well together.
Yeah.
it's how it has to end the story, and it's really a story about battling inner demons, battling depression, getting over anxiety, whatever is deep down inside of you, whatever demon you're fighting, battling it, overcoming it, winning it, and seeing serenity, seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, I guess is how it goes.
All right. Well, I want to take the moment to thank you guys for being in the studio and talking about With Hopes of Falling. And ladies and gentlemen, get ready to see these guys at the Mass in the Grass Music and Arts Festival again Friday, August 8th at the Sinking Valley Fairgrounds. So get to see that. And once again, this is the song Serenity on the Homegrown Rocker.
Awaken from the nightmare into the day that's just begun. Suntwin as a wave of fresh air escapes the trees. The leaf falls upon me as the monsters which we all must face falls beneath
The Homegrown Rocker finishing out this week's program with music from our band guests this evening, With Hopes of Falling, and the song Serenity, and that's another track off of With Hopes of Falling's debut album called The Majestic Front. Thanks once again to Ricky Hazlett, Trevor Roberts, and Travis Mushcott of With Hopes of Falling for joining us in the studio this week on the program. Get out and see this band. Again, they'll be a part of the Mast in the Grass Music and Arts Festival coming up on Friday afternoon, August 8th.